Okay, so finally we get to run our program and test it, and you see how it works on Swagger. So like we said, click on Maven. You can just run quarkus div in your terminal here, but the quickest way is to look for Maven plugins and then look for quarkus. We have quarkus div somewhere there in the drop down. Double click on it and it will run our program. So finally we just want to see our program outputting at port 880 on Swagger. So that's how we are going to test our endpoints and see how they work. Now it's listening at DT socket address 5005, and I think within just a couple of seconds it should be online. Okay, so once you see this word quarkus being printed, and of course following its threads being shown at what time it opened and the port that it's listening to, just know that it's now successfully deployed. So we are going to be accessing it at port 880. I remember we're using Swagger, so one, we can use the API or localhost, but I prefer localhost because API is not probably becoming in the next tutorials. Let's use localhost Swagger and reload again. So these are our endpoints. We're mostly interested in the shop management module, while we are going to be creating a new item and then also testing the get endpoints to see if they can get data from the database. So let's go ahead and try out this post. This is a post endpoint, and it adds a new item into the shop. So let's go ahead and test it. You can see the request body is as follows. We just want the category, title, description, price, and image, which happens to be an image URL from you. So you can just take the example and execute. Once you execute with an example, it's an open endpoint, so it doesn't need any authentication, unlike the other endpoints where you need to some kind of a JOT authentication. So right now you can see at least we've created successfully created a shop item, and you can see the message here is saved successfully. So the item has successfully been saved into the database, and it has its ID at 351, category that creation date, that description, that image, number, price, and title. So what is next now? Now that it can create an image, a shop item, let's go ahead and test the get endpoint, see if it really gets all the shop items from the database. So we have a couple of number of the get endpoints, but we're mostly interested in the get all items. Get all item endpoint, you try it out. It doesn't need any params, no parameters needed, just execute. Once you execute, you can see its request URL at shop at get all endpoints, all items, and it returns a response body, of course a successful one, with about a number of shop items from the database. So this being the current one, which is 350 as its ID. So the endpoint works perfectly. So what next? We can probably look at the login and you see how the login really works. First let's update 350. Remember, the item that we just created has an ID of 350, so when you're updating you have to test the endpoint put, and endpoint put requires an ID of the item, so you have to specify which item are you really updating in the database. So we're updating item 351. Item 351 has a category of that, title, description, price, and image. So we can just make a little bit of probably some adjustments in the price from $200 to about $200,000. That's a large amount for a men's jacket, but nevertheless we just testing out the endpoint if it works. But one thing I want to test up with you, you see the put endpoint is actually under the auth, and to access it you must have rights, so you must have logged in and gotten a jot. So right now we've not logged in, we're just going to execute. Probably it's going to be throwing a 404, yeah, a 401 being an authorized code. That's an authorization code, meaning that you're not authorized to access this endpoint. So what we do, you have to come back here under the auth management module. We have the user login endpoint, so we try it out. By default it comes with an initializer, which is an admin, and being an admin he has super rights over the whole system. So you execute, comes in as an example. You can see he's successfully logged in, ID that, email admin@shop.com, then role is admin, username admin, and user type agent. Now he also comes with a jot, and this jot actually it's an encoded string that is supposed to be decoded on the front end. But right now we're on Swagger. We're just going to copy this, copy the jot, and put it in the authentication tab at the top of the Swagger. You see authentication. So we provide the jot here in order to be authenticated to access all those endpoints, and now you can see we are finally authenticated through the HTTP bearer. So we close this and go back and attempt the update endpoint, and we see whether it's going to be working. Now remember, this item 351 specifically had a price of around $200, and we've changed this to about $200,000. So this is the update that we've just done, and just want to test it out if it works. So hopefully, remember, in this service, once you update an item, it updates it in the database and returns a response of that same item, an object of course. So let's go ahead and execute. Click on execute now that we have rights. Hopefully, yeah, we are not getting a 401 anymore. The code that we are getting is a 200 response code, meaning it's a successful response. And you can see message here says updated successfully at that timestamp. So anyways, let's check on our price and see if it has successfully updated from $200 to about $200,000. That's a clear update. So successfully this endpoint is working, which is the update endpoint. We've also seen the login endpoint. There are so many other endpoints that we're going to be looking at, so probably today we've just covered a few, which is the gate post, the post and then the gate. Tomorrow we are probably going to be continuing with the shop management module. After the shop management module, we shall be heading on to the user management module. It also has a couple of endpoints, and then the auth, just like we've implemented it. So guys, this is it. The file resource for now, we're gonna be probably neglecting it because we have another way of handling files through Firebase, where we upload the byte code into the Firebase database, and then regenerate a link in form of a URL and then send it to the database and persist it. Persisting means saving into the database, and of course link it to that particular shop item. So that's all guys for today. I think today we've done a lot. Probably a couple of videos, 15 videos, around 15 videos. So hopefully tomorrow, if I have time, or have to come back here for more endpoints. Now that our system is running, we shall just have to be adding one endpoint. So probably tomorrow we are going to look at getting shop item by ID, and shop item by ID, delete all shop items and delete by ID. We're also going to be doing update, and then the rest of the endpoints under the shop management module will be coming later. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next episode. Okay.